life is about more than just your ambitions, your desires, and even sometimes your dreams. God has a way of molding us into different directions at certain stages that are going to end up being better for you, even though you don't want to realize it right now. I think adversity is something, it's not like something that you're going to have to overcome once. Obviously we all have a story to tell, and hopefully people can be inspired by a little bit out of my story and a few things I've experienced in my journey thus far. But, it's not the first time, it's not going to be the last time, which I think is very important. There's no real bulletproof approach to adversity and overcoming adversity. I think if we think life's going to be all sunshine and roses, and that's what we're sort of striving towards in terms of the way we would like our life to look like, it's definitely not a sunshine and roses kind of experience. And there are always going to be obstacles. Just when you think you've got this thing under control and you've got it all figured out, there's going to be something else that's going to hit you in the face, So I think it's definitely a continual process, and the most important thing is probably just to learn from mistakes, learn from experience, and sort of take it as it comes.
When we start really focusing on our purpose, and really, I like the word ikigai, because that's the beautiful Japanese word for when we wake up in the morning, so for something bigger than ourselves. But I think when we find that, and then obstacles doesn't really become obstacles, but it really becomes opportunities to grow and opportunities to something new. And we realize that it's just something new. But if we don't follow our purpose, then it becomes difficult to overcome our adversity, because it becomes a pain and you don't see the growth and the opportunity in that.
I can definitely relate with that. Maybe I should share a little bit on my story so that people can have a little bit more glimpse into the whole adversity thing. So, and the purpose thing is actually a big part of it, because, once I started realizing, you don't want to say what life's about, but what you value most in life, I think it does become a little easier to overcome a lot of these challenges.
Thank you for watching. Just a quick reminder to grab your gift bag for entrepreneurs in the link below. It's a gift bag for entrepreneurs to the value of 57,000 Rand. Free of charge. All you need to do is activate it. Part of that gift bag for entrepreneurs is a voucher of 3 months for 3 months free accounting services from a company, Dryk Holdings. All you need to do is activate the gift bag voucher in the link below, and we will be in contact with you as soon as you've done that. Thank you for watching, and back to the interview.
For me, I grew up as wanting to play rugby. That was my main thing. That's what I always wanted to do since I can remember. And a lot of my friends and family will tell you that, wherever I would go, I'd have a rugby ball in my hand. And even if it was a tar road, I'd look at the opportunity to go and just kick that ball around. And very, very driven to become a professional one day, which I had the privilege of being able to do. But it really became a case of 20 odd years leading up to becoming a professional rugby player. That was really what you based your identity on, and that was sort of like who you were known for. And it's really your whole life that led up to this one thing, which was playing professional rugby. And then I had the opportunity to do that for 7-8 years as a professional, which was some of the best years I think I would ever have in my life, because you make so many memories, and being able to do the thing that you love the most is one of the greatest gifts I think any person can have. So it was a real blessing in that sense. But at the same time, the moment I had to start transitioning into, call it the real world, because the rugby world is not as real as what people think. You get bombarded with a lot of things very early in your life, which I don't think is always very healthy. Be that financially, be that a lot of responsibilities being thrown your way at an age where you're not necessarily capable of handling all these kinds of things. The call it the fame, recognition aspect of it at a very young age. The freebies, getting a lot of free things for nothing essentially. All of those things sort of fade away and come to a dead end very, very suddenly when you stop playing rugby. And then you're left with a case of, who am I now? Who is Gary now? Who is whoever? as a professional sportsman, that person who you were for 26, 27 years of your life, in an instance, when it gets taken away from you, and in my case, it was very, very sudden. Obviously, I had various challenges with my knees, and throughout my career, I went through phases where it went really well, and then I went through phases where, it didn't go so well. And I ended up having 8 knee surgeries, which sounds ridiculous in itself, but is the honest truth. And after my last knee surgery, I went to see about 4 surgeons, and each one of them told me, listen, there's not an opportunity for you to continue playing. It wouldn't be wise for you to even try and do that. So that's basically how my career ended. So in an instant, you sort of like have to think of becoming a different person. And it might sound cliche, but there's a big emotional aspect attached to it. In that sense, where you need to sort of, you go on this discovery journey of who you really are and what you stand for and what the next phase is going to be of your life. And I think that in itself for me was quite challenging. It's a case of all of a sudden all those friends and people who used to like being around you, who used to love being your friend, because maybe it reflected well on them, because of who you were at that stage. All of those things fade away, and you sort of like start from scratch in many instances. So that was quite hard, and it was really only once I started thinking about what is most valuable regarding this life of ours, and reassessing our values, if I can put it that way, that it helped me to sort of transition into the next phase of my life where I am right now. But definitely a process. I think that, if you look at a lot of professional sportsmen who have retired, even someone like Johnny Wilkinson, who in my instance was part of the industry I come from in terms of the rugby. He went through a depression for, I think, 3 or 4 years, and he was the world's best player. He reached the epitome of what it was to be a professional rugby player, won the World Cup. I won't say single-handedly, but he was knighted. What else can you say? Even someone like him found himself in a place where he's like, well, who am I now? And I think there were a lot of things that sort of played a role in that. Family is definitely one. Charmaine, my wife, she was with me every step of the way. She knew what I was going through, and she was one of the only people who really understood where I was coming from, because we've actually been together since 2000 and I better get this right, probably 2006.
I want the exact date.
No, it's no exact date. Sort of figure that out. But 2006, since school, she's been a part of my dreams and ambitions since day one. She's been with me through every setback and injury that I had, every knee surgery, the comeback thereafter. And I think she really gave me a lot of perspective. And I remember at one stage, she said to me that it's time now for me to open up, because I didn't talk about the way that I necessarily felt about this whole thing. Now, I think as men, you sort of like tie yourself up into a place, and it's almost like a knot where you can't move forward because you don't talk. It's almost like it's manly to and it's very like masculine not to talk about how you feel, which in my case was pretty disastrous, because for the first, I'd say, year after retiring, I was so angry at the sport. I never watched a game of rugby. I wasn't involved in coaching. I declined every opportunity that friends asked, would I come help out here, or maybe consider coaching a team or giving back, and whatever the case might be. And that was all due to anger and frustration that I've built up inside. I was angry at the game. I was angry at God for why he took away that opportunity, and that all built up. I didn't talk about it, and I remember coming to a point where I got home one day and I was so upset, and Charmaine sat next to me on the couch, and she just said to me, listen, like, you got to talk now, like, you got to open up, just tell me everything. And I just started speaking, and I just started basically bawling my eyes out. And during that, I'd say half an hour to 45 minutes of opening up, just sharing my frustrations, my anger, talking about how I felt at that stage. It was almost like such a massive weight off my shoulders. And I could actually then face this head on for the very first time, where I could be realistic with myself and be honest with myself about how I felt. And I actually stopped blaming circumstances, and I actually took responsibility for the way that I felt, and responsibility for my life and my future year after, which I never did before that. I blamed everybody else for the situation I found myself in, but I never looked inward. And I think she really helped me and guided me through that. And the thing is, Jasper, I think this is just my story. People have been through far worse. For me, it was a case of a dream that couldn't be kept alive, where probably the thing I loved the most in life was taken away from me. But there are a lot of people who suffer a lot of other things that are far worse, But I think in general, wherever somebody is, you need to be really honest with yourself, and you need to realize that, life is about more than just your ambitions, your desires, and even sometimes your dreams. God has a way of molding us into different directions at certain stages that are going to end up being better for you, even though you don't want to realize it right now. And Charmaine helped me with that. She actually started getting me to think about family for one, and she mentioned that just something small, quality time that we got to spend together, where we never had that opportunity when I was playing professional sports, because I was so focused on just that. And I would be grumpy before a game, and I would be just, I would isolate myself week in and week out, leading up to a game. And little things like that started giving me perspective on what I have. This is what I've lost. Yes, that's fine. Talk about it, face it head on, but then start thinking about what you have and what you can be grateful for. Once again, sounds really cliche, but once you start going through this yourself, and it's not something you just read in a book, but you do it yourself, it really does help, and you start realizing that the small things in life, which we oftentimes end up missing, which I still do. This is not, once again, it's not something that, it's not a quick fix. You still do it. You get frustrated about just simple things in life. But if you realize what you actually have and what you can be grateful for, I think that played a massive role in helping me transition, and to have that constant to have it reaffirmed consistently. So I actually started a gratitude journal every morning. I'd write down what I'm grateful for, just to open up my mind as to some of the smallest things, family, friendship, even a coffee that you're having at this very moment in time, the fact that you have a roof over your head, the fact that you still have an income, that you have parents who are still alive, that you can spend time with, those kinds of things. And I think even more so now today, you start realizing in the times we're living in right now, that some of the things we were chasing are not necessarily the things we should be chasing.
Yes.
And me saying that is like me talking to myself and almost like preaching to myself, because I struggle with this daily. Those are the things that frustrate us at the end of the day. Oftentimes the materialistic things and things that get in the way of us achieving those things which are materialistic, that frustrate us if we can't necessarily get that. So that was sort of like my transition. It was coming from a place of everything is about you, you the man, you this, you that, everybody loves you, like you are who you are because of your social status. Now all of a sudden you're not that anymore, so who are you? You used to value that a lot, and that's where you got your energy from. But now you got to find something else. You've sort of like got to, and the only way that you can really do that, I found, is by reassessing your value system and understanding and going to have a very long, hard think about what is it that you actually want out of life. What is important for you? Because whatever's most important for you is where you're going to have your most focus. And at the end of the day, those are the things that are going to frustrate you.